Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome to you. It's May 2nd, 2023. It's a Tuesday. Susan's there, right?
Yep.
And I just want to say I'm more nasal and adenoidal and just mucosal, whatever, than normal. I'm looking out the window and there's all this yellow stuff all over everything, and I think that's
it's pollen season. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, so
it would be here too if it weren't sub-zero. As I put on my hooded lined jacket and then a lightweight down full length coat over it to walk the dog this morning, I thought, hello, May 2nd.
Yeah. Damn. Well, it was, I don't know, April was like May. May is now looking like April. Nothing makes any sense. There was yesterday. It was cold. There was at one point there was sun, and the next second there was like hail that lasted for 2 seconds. I mean, it was like, what? It's bizarre. And then, my God, in Illinois, the dust storm.
The dust storm from all the farms. Well, those are all fields. Highway. That's the highway I've lived my life on. Highway 1,
right, I know.
I-55, and it goes through the heart of Illinois corn country.
But it has to be very dry because they
yeah.
are not getting. Obviously, if you have a dust storm, that farmland is not.
Well, I think it's actually just the tilled fields that had been turned, and it might have been, not
dry.
Yeah. So it started blowing. There was nothing growing in it yet because it's been so cold.
All right. Well, listen, there's lots of news going on, and let's just get to it. Number one, the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Whatever. I
was happy to see that actually, all in all, more of the women were not naked last night.
That's true.
I was going, I really think it's better when you have actual clothes on. And then you can either like them or not like them. Yeah. And I also noticed something else. So did you see Rachel Brosnahan, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel? She was still naked. Did you notice that? She was nude from the hips up with 2 black pasties over her nipples. And they were commenting that it was a career move so that you'd stop thinking of her as Mrs. Maisel. And I'm thinking, well, all she has to do is open her mouth and you think of her as Mrs. Maisel because that's what she sounds like. But it also occurred to me that the only way you look good in those naked clothes is pretty much if you have fake boobs. Because
those boobs stand up.
Those boobs stand up, are perfectly symmetrical, and don't move.
Right, exactly.
And that's why it's the only way you can wear a dress like that. So in essence, she's not, so the reason she wears it is because she doesn't feel naked. Those aren't even her breasts.
Susan, you don't know that.
I think it detaches women from their breasts.
That. I don't. Well, I'll tell you, the most naked person there was a guy. You see him?
Who was that? I know, maybe not.
Lil Nas.
Oh, I didn't see what Lil Nas. He was there. What did?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean,
he was wearing a loincloth.
He was wearing a thong. a jock strap, is it?
Yeah.
And that's it. And then he was covered in like metal, and he had a mask on that was extraordinary. I think he was supposed to be a lot of them were like cats. Okay, so it was. I mean, and he had on like I don't. Okay, we'll stop. Nobody gives a damn. But it's, I mean, for anyone who wants to like gawk at celebrities dressed in outrageous things or beautiful things.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason to look at it is to look at the costumes. Who cares?
That's right.
I didn't recognize half the people that were walking, and
no, I don't know.
Eight of them were Kardashians, and who gives a shit? You know, I mean, the star power is losing a little of its luster. You know.
Well, no, it's still there. Oh, there are more
and Jared Leto was there as a big furry, so that was fun.
Yeah, but he later took that off. He came as a white cat. Carl, well, I don't even want to talk about it. It's such nonsense. Fuck it. Although it was fun to watch for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that.
Sent mother scurrying off to bed in a fit of, this is disgusting.
What was the final straw?
I don't know. I think it was Jonathan Ness, who is the guy the guy that was commentating in the black gown with white bows. Yes.
Well, you know what? Whoever that. No, you had to be watching E, and they had this panel. It appeared to me to be 3 women and a man. And the man was the only one who was wearing a dress, like a ball gown.
Right.
Yeah. and he had a beard, and I mean, he looked so ridiculous.
He's one of the queer eyes. He's one of the new queer guys for, queer eyes for queer.
I couldn't talk about it. It hurt to look at him.
Well, here's how I feel. That's fine. And I think that is absolutely legitimate, because here's what I have to say to Jonathan, who dresses exactly the way he wants, that he's entitled to dress exactly the way he wants. And I'm entitled to tell him he doesn't look good in that dress. I mean,
no, that dress is not good.
That dress did not look good on him. And just the same way as anybody has to try and wear the appropriate whatever it is for the way you are built, that dress wasn't it for Jonathan. So I'm just going to comment on it from that point of view. He can wear a dress as far as I'm concerned. That one wasn't it.
No, that sure as hell wasn't it. Oh, my God.
Here's the thing about him. He doesn't care. He's actually he's a nice guy. So anyway, there's that.
Well, I don't know. He looked like an idiot. That's all I want to say.
Well, so do all the naked women that think that they're dressed,
I know, but what is it they really want? You know what they want? What we're giving them. Attention.
Well, it's better than mass murderers. Okay, enough of this.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Okay. There, we did it. Now. Oy, there's so much news. Okay, still tiptoeing. The writers have gone on strike. So
I don't blame them. I mean, these back end deals where the big guys of one group decide to sell their product to the big guys of another group, and in so doing, they just cut out the deals that have been made with the people below them and renegotiate it without the people below them having any say in how their own pay is being handled. So that every time that one of your favorite shows goes off network and goes to a streaming platform, writers stop being paid the way their contract inform them. Or if they're paid a third or a quarter as much. And they can't live on what their writers no longer. I mean, it wasn't always that easy in the first place, but it's almost impossible to actually make your living as a writer full time in that industry.
Well, stop and think and in fact, the Writers Guild put out a little thing to explain why they're on strike, and all they did was they pictured the CEOs of the top. What do you call them? Hollywood studios?
Yeah,
and what?
And those are the guys that gave away their royalties. They gave them away.
Listen to this. Listen to this. David Zaslav. Now, this is the CEO of Discovery. They're the ones who are destroying whatever was left of CNN, right?
Yeah.
They own CNN. They do this and that. David Zaslav, and he's the one who has said to CNN, we want to see moderation. We want to see Republicans on your air. We want to see, So he made last year $246+ million. Poor Bob Iger over at Disney only made $46 million.
Ah,
I know. Even Rupert Murdoch.
And he has to fight 31. With DeSantis.
Yeah, the Netflix guy, just 41 mil. Comcast CEO, 30 mil. For some reason, the jerk Zaslav is the one who's just making out like a bandit. And they say, so last year, 8 major Hollywood studio CEOs made over $773 million in annual salary. Meanwhile, many of the workers who write their shows can't afford rent. And this is the thing that's going on all over this country, right?
Right.
It's just disgusting. So anyway, gone are, you can see right now, Saturday Night Live is toast. All those late, Colbert, all those shows are going to be immediately off the air because their guys are on strike. If you're into soap operas, is anybody still into soap operas?
Well, there's very few left, but
okay, but the very few left probably have only about a week or two left
in the can
before they'll go dark. And the last time this happened, what they do to us is because there's no one writing new material, you're subject to all this
reality TV
and reality TV because that doesn't require writers; it just requires cynical editors.
Really nasty ones.
Oh, so it could be a long strike. These guys are willing and have shown in the past when they've gone on strike are willing to stay out. So just saying, that's going to be something. I wish them luck. Milton is reminding us. I did know this, Milton. I just didn't even want to talk about the jerk, Karl Lagerfeld.
Karl Lagerfeld, yes.
Lagerfeld.
Karl.
That the cat, the stupid Met thing, was honoring. He's dead now, and he was a piece of work. But he the only living being that truly loved him was his cat. I think he loved his cat. I think he left his money to his cat.
His cat had its own. The cat had its own nanny.
The cat flew. Well, the cat lived, and the cat's still alive. But so, Jared Leto came as Chopette, the cat, and Lil Nas was supposed to be the cat, and what's her name, Cat? Well,
she had her whole face made to look like a cat.
So anyway, there was that, right? Milton, though, also had sent me something earlier, which I wanted to get at since I just mentioned CNN going down the tubes. He told me something I did not know, that CNN is giving Donald Trump a primetime full hour or more on May 10th. A CNN town hall with Donald Trump from some college in New Hampshire. And Milton says, I forgave CNN in 2015 when they went out of their way to cover Trump's campaign ad nauseum, but now they should know better. So why legitimize him as a presidential candidate once again after everything he's done and the damage to our democracy he's responsible for? But the problem is here, he is the leading candidate. We got essentially a two-party system, and one of the parties is, that's their candidate, apparently. The rapist on trial, the guy who's got more court dates than you can imagine. Yeah, that is their. So what do they do? Unbelievable. What's even more unbelievable is that people will vote for him. Knowing him now, knowing who he is, what he is, what he brings, what he represents.
Well, they're fascists.
The brutality of his coarseness and disgust. Well, I don't know that they're all fascists. There are a lot of racists, malcontents. I don't know. It's a hodgepodge. But yeah, these are the people that let fascists take over. They obviously don't give a damn about democracy.
No.
Or about morality. Or decency. Good God. So speaking of the rapist, if you've been following the rape trial,
I have. I'm actually, I think this trial is going really. She's going to win.
Yeah, it looks that way. She's going to win, and part of it is he doesn't have the guts to show up. So and
the other part, have you seen that lawyer that I've seen him on MSNBC, and he is just like the epitome of the schoolyard bully that you just want to punch. You just want to punch. So the jury the jury hates him.
Well, anyone would hate him. So anyway, he's been, and so he's beating up on this nice woman in front of the jury. And now, I guess, is it today, they're bringing in other witnesses, other women who said, he essentially did the same thing to me. They're going to tell the jury.
Right.
And they're going to establish that what happened to her was not that, unusual an event.
And they're going to they're going to play the Access Hollywood tape that says I can do it,
where he brags about it, right?
Yeah.
So he's done. He's going to get convicted here. The jury will set damages. Who knows how much? But obviously, then he'll appeal. So where does a case like this go? A civil case like this, it can go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it goes to in New York, the Supreme Court is the lowest court.
No, but I'm not talking about New York. Eventually, he can just keep appealing.
You can keep appealing, sure. Yeah, but you have to have grounds.
Well, okay, kind of, right. We have a caller. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Susan. This is Beth calling. I was just emailing.
I thought you might call because this Beth is somebody who knows the industry.
I know these contracts. I know these contracts inside and out for Writers Guild and all of them.
Yeah, I know you do. So
I was just emailing you about the Met and saying, "Oh my God, what a wonderful distraction! It was fun. I love Bad Bunny, J-Lo in that dress, and at being 50 plus, stunning.
God, yeah, a lot of stunning people.
But yours and Susan's feeling sorry for the writers don't. I think a lot of what they're putting out there are the writers that are first and second year writers. They're not some of the seasoned writers within the WGA. Do they have different pay scales? Yes, but normally that's just a set minimum. Most of these people are paid way more. And even if their product stinks, they still get their money. They may not get the residuals because it stunk, but they still are paid very, very well. I'm hearing it's going to be a 2-month strike minimally. I know that the studio's already let go development people last week with the strike pending. And I think the thing that kind of really irritates me, and I have to put it out there, I am not union. When I work on a movie, I'm a thing called non-affiliate. So I neither work for the studio, nor do I work, nor am I a member of a union or a guild. So 2 years ago, the Teamsters and IATSE, which those are the people who really work on the project. That's your customers, your makeup, your special effects, your camera, your grips, electric. I mean, just everyone who truly works and really puts their bodies at danger in some cases. Their contracts were up. And I really thought they were going to strike. And at that point, Lynn and Susan, they had every right to strike and get a heck of a lot more. I think their union leadership really did poorly. And during that time, it was the Writers Guild that was putting out things saying, guys, please don't strike. You're going to kill our money. There's so much being made right now. We're doing so much product since post-pandemic. They didn't strike. Now for the writers to strike, and those people who really are kind of check to check, the writers are really hurting them.
So their strike, wait a minute, so the strike, the writer's strike will put a lot of people out of work.
Well, of course, puts a lot of people out of work.
Oh, it puts tons of people out of work. It puts people, I mean, just think of all of the ancillary businesses that depend on films. You know, now they're not working. I can tell you the project I was supposed to start literally yesterday, it pushed a month just on not knowing what was going to happen with the strike. And again, I'm hearing now 2 months. There's only one complaint.
You're one of the people who's not going to be paid.
No, I mean, I'm not paid. I'm not paid at all. And there's only one grievance they have that's legitimate, and that's the artificial intelligence issue. Because what happens is when let's say we hire this writer, we're going to do an adaptation from a book. It starts going, they read it, they're trying to work it into location, whatever it is. This writer does a couple rewrites. The producers, directors, studio realizes, hey, they may have gotten us in the door. They can't finish this product. You know, they've already been paid well over, I'm just going to tell you, it's 6 figures. And that's on a figure $20 to $30 million movie. Then they bring in another writer. Now that writer is compensated pretty much the same way and gets a higher residual scale because of the changes. So, you know, these are people that no matter when this thing airs, the directors, the actors, whenever this thing is played in theaters, it re-airs, they get a check. Yeah, it may only be for $3, but they still get a check for life on these things. To quote a friend of mine who lives in a very swanky area of LA, said to me, you know what, Beth, I have the smallest house on my street at 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and I have, 1,200 square feet there. Every large house on my block with the Range Rover, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths is writer. So I'm just.
Well, what about the writers who aren't at that level? I mean, that's got to be the majority of them. No. As you said, the people not.
They may have, again, think of it. These are the people, and this is the other thing that cracks me up. Most of the writers who come out, especially in comedy writing for some reason, on episodic, they all come out of Ivy League schools. It's like the only way you can write comedy is if you went to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or Brown, which I don't understand. But still, their salaries, Lynn, I mean, they're paid incredibly well. They're paid more than, some of the key grips who sacrificed their bodies and everything on set for a show.
Okay, wait, stop. You said grip. That's the second time you said grip.
Sorry.
Explain what a grip does.
Sure.
We always see grips in the, credits.
A grip
think, what the hell is a grip?
Okay, so grips are the people that put in the lighting trusses around the thing. They don't touch lighting. They won't touch electrical, but they put the things that pretty much anything you can, that's exactly it. Grip onto. If a light has to grip onto it, if kind of deflectors for the camera, dolly track, anything that really attaches itself to something.
For God's sake.
That's what a grip does. And it is some physical labor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So sorry, I'm just from my standpoint and being in this business for 20 some years and seeing and reading a hell of a lot of contracts that these studios do. And yes, are the CEOs of these studios paid and owners paid ridiculous sums of money? And I've only heard things of even the people under them, the deals that they have. It's disgusting. But it's like any other company, and that's why anytime someone says liberal Hollywood, I think not.
Rapacious capitalism, I think.
Yeah, it really is. But I just wanted to let you two know.
Okay,
don't take up the pot for this group.
All right. Well, we'll let them fight it out on their own in that case.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay. Thank you for that contrarian view.
Well, some workers are more equal than others, you know.
Yes.
Jeez.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Bye. So we were, on E. Jean Carroll. Somebody, I guess it was the New York Times today, who one of the questions she was asked again and again, you never screamed?
Right.
The scream thing. And she seems like a very capable, person.
Well, he's just pulling out every single rape myth there is, and she's doing a really good job at punching that volleyball right back in his nose.
She said, I'm not a screamer. I was too much in a panic to scream. I was fighting. And people who've actually done, psychologist types who have done research into this stuff say that it is not unusual when attacked in any way for some people not to scream or cry out, because it's a common brain response to danger to freeze. There's another, you think, oh, you're supposed to scream. No, a lot of people, it's like you freeze, you focus, she was too busy fighting to get out. And anyway, it doesn't, the thing is that there's this monolithic reaction by all women in this situation to react in the exact same way. And they pointed out, I don't know who, that this has ever been thus. So you can have the Me Too movement and think we've moved on, but this stuff is baked into the culture for centuries and centuries and centuries. Remember that British jurist who Alito in the Dobbs decision cited some 8 times. He cited in the Dobbs decision a lawyer in 1670 or something in London on abortion and on women. And the guy's name was Sir Matthew Hale. And Hale at the time wrote what is still the playbook for people defending rapists. And what you ask, is that your dog?
Yes.
He's far away, so we're not really getting the whole.
Okay.
He's howling, huh?
He's howling. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so this is from the 1600s. This noted jurist. He said the first thing you have to know is the woman of good character? The second thing is, did she cry out? So and if she didn't, that was like
consent.
Did she report the crime in a timely manner? And that's something else that he's been harping on, that she never went to the cops.
Right.
But you can see in the way she's being attacked in the courtroom and her reputation sullied, Why women don't report? Why women don't? Where they just get on with their lives?
The reason you're saying to a traumatized woman, "We're going to put you on the stand," and then under the law, the guy on the other side is going to come and within every legal boundary pushed to the nth, he's going to beat you up every way he can and make you look like a wanton hussy and that you were asking for it and like a manipulative, awful woman who must be lying. And I mean, they teach you how to do it in law school, for crying out loud.
Why couldn't you just keep your knees together? That, by the way, was said by a Canadian judge in 2014 in a rape trial, questioning a 19-year-old. Why couldn't you just keep your knees together?
Yeah, you know, I already think that we know that the men should be declared illegal. Don't push me too far.
Okay, yeah. We don't want to push Susan on this issue. She gets a little hot. So at first I really groaned when I saw this in the New York Times a few days ago, and it was a whole page. The headline being, Biden would end a second term at 86. Would his brain and body keep up? So I thought, come on. So but it is. It's a legitimate issue.
Well, Trump would end his second term at 82.
Yeah, so, I know. They're both old.
Let's put them side by side, and you tell me who's healthier and whose brain is working better.
Yeah. I have to say, though, that this piece ended up not being so much a hit piece as an informative piece, talking to gerontologists about what we know about 80-year-olds. And one thing we know is there is no such thing as a typical 80-year-old.
No, I mean, our mother at 80 was better than most people at 50.
Yeah, exactly. And our mother at 100 is better than a lot of 80-year-olds. So
that's right.
And they specifically say a lot of it has to do with genetics and a person's lifestyle. Well, you look at Biden's lifestyle as a healthy lifestyle. You know, he exercises, he whatever. Donald Trump, not so much. I think genetically they both are probably gifted. But then they go into...
Well, Trump doesn't drink. I mean...
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so...
Which probably helps.
Yeah.
But can you imagine? I think he should drink.
Might calm him down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think he should... but he put some psilocybin in his Coca-Cola. Jeez. So, but they go from, the things that, okay, so are we concerned? I mean, for brains, and I learned stuff here. It says most healthy people in their 80s don't have trouble performing complex cognitive tasks. You see, people, yeah.
We aren't asking them to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for crying. We're asking them to sit at a desk and think.
Okay. Now they say some people do struggle to remember words. I can attest to that. And reaction time can be slower. But it turns out usually only when they say reaction time slows down, it's on the order of fractions of a millisecond. So forget it.
Right. And he's not putting his foot on the brake. He's decision making.
Here's the other thing. It says certain cognitive skills, such as vocabulary and abstract reasoning, may not only stay constant, they could improve with age, although they don't know why.
Well, you know more.
So I think so too. And
you just read more and you know more.
Longer and you've known more. And it says dementia does become more common with age, but it still only affects a minority of adults in their 80s. And neither of these guys have dementia. Although whatever Donald Trump has, it's something else. I don't know. And then things like eyes, ears, vision tends to worsen. Age-related hearing loss is a common problem. And by the way, I just want to pass this on because this is a guy who's an expert in Alzheimer's. He says we have increasing data now that suggests that people who go longer with untreated hearing loss, who don't get hearing correction, in other words, I'm not going to have a hearing aid, those people are more likely to develop dementia.
Yeah, because I think it's isolating and isolating.
You start not hearing things. You're not. So as soon as and it's a normal part of aging, and people do really push back often, and delay getting hearing aids.
And this is but that's why there's this great new thing where it just doesn't cost a gazillion dollars. Remember when hearing aids used to be like $6,000 a hearing aid, and you're not necessarily covered by insurance, and you drop one and
Biden,
right.
Thanks to Joe Biden,
they're over the counter
now. Yeah. So
thanks to Joe Biden. That's huge. Right. And that's, as you just pointed out, an indirect way of preventing unnecessary dementias.
Yeah. And it turns out that Biden has the same kind of, just sort of normal old person stuff, all of which he's medicated. And so it says here that 83% of men and 87% of women who are 80 and older have heart disease. And heart disease, I have heart disease. I have high blood pressure. I take blood pressure meds. And my blood pressure is totally under control. So it turns out, takes Eliquis because he has asymptomatic atrial fibrillation, which is a very normal kind of, an irregular heartbeat. I obviously had something with my heartbeat because I have a pacemaker, right? I'm younger than him. And he also takes Crestor for cholesterol. I take something else for cholesterol. This is normal for people over a certain age. And it turns out, it says his occasional coughing and throat clearing are tied to reflux, and he takes Pepcid as needed. Me too. So Joe and I have a lot of the same little ailments, none of which affect our ability to think.
No. And I'd like to point out, if something should happen to him, Kamala Harris happens to be a perfectly more capable than 90% of the men that are up against her woman to run the country.
Yeah.
Well, I know
I'm not wild about her, but she's more capable than Donald Trump.
You don't have to be wild about her, but the way people react to her is more about the her than the person.
No, Susan, you telling me I'm a misogynist?
Yeah. I'm telling you that we are acculturated to think that way.
No, I'm not. I never liked her. I liked other women. There's something about her that just doesn't, and it might have nothing to do with her abilities. She just doesn't do it for me. That's all. Big deal.
I know. Okay.
No big deal.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, and it turns out when you read this, and it even says everybody ages differently. Age does not define a person's health. Many people in their 80s are healthier than people 20 years younger, as Susan pointed out. It's so the age thing, yeah. we have this gerontocracy, which we need to get under control because it's not great. But that if our choice is these two old guys, it's pretty clear who is capable and who is a grave and present danger, right?
Right.
So there's all righty. I am being told that Clarence is
in no uncertain terms.
That is correct.
You have a caller, Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence.
I heard it.
All right, go
yeah, I just wanted to, I wasn't planning on calling until you pointed out the meds that Joe Biden takes. And I went, I was like, I'm younger than the both of you, and I take all the same stuff. Blood pressure, cholesterol, heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like 60. I was like, I said, Joe Biden's taking the same stuff I'm taking, and I'm 60. He's like,
well, hey, if it makes it Clarence, I was taking him at 60 too. I was taking him at 60 as well.
Yeah, and I've been taking them for about 4 years now. Yeah, I've been taking them for about 4 or 5 years now. Same exact medication.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to question my thinking. I think.
I don't know.
If I come in with a serious phone call, then you know, oh, Clarence is getting Alzheimer's. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah, unless you got something interesting to say to me, because I am.
No, I have no punny thing to say at all.
All right.
I don't either. I have no punny thing to say either.
Sorry. Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious that, like I said, that's about old Joe Biden. I take all the exact same reasons. The whole heart, weird heartbeat and all that stuff. I got all that nonsense. So
all that stuff.
Yeah. Probably 50% of the population over 55 does.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting for him because I'm due for my prostate exam this year. So we'll see. They talk about Joe's prostate.
That's one of the horrible things about being the president. Can you imagine everybody being privy?
Right, so much for HIPAA. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right,
yeah.
Yeah, like HIPAA doesn't apply to him.
Now, what'll be interesting is Trump's prostate exam because he's full of shit. So that's going to be a problem.
Except that his doctors are chosen for their ability, propensity, and willingness to lie.
Lie, absolutely. To lie, exactly. Oh,
okay.
Man.
And by the way, that was the first time I ever said a curse word on your show. That was the first time I've never.
And I didn't even notice, so that shows you where we are.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Curse word? What'd you say?
I said shit.
Oh, right, he is.
Which is something I never. Usually was. Yeah, I know you guys don't, because normally I would say crap. Because I don't curse.
Crap used to be the worst word that our father ever said.
See, that's why we get along.
He was really mad if he said crap. I can remember that.
That's how you know I'm mad. If I curse, my mother was the same way too. My mother cursed. We all just went to our corners and hid under beds and all that kind of good thing. It was like, oh, she's mad. We're gonna heck out of Dodge. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good to hear from you, Clarence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Bye, Clarence.
Bye. I read something and this is a cancel culture story. And of course, increasingly, cancel culture now has to do with the right, not the left. It turns out the right is just, with the book banning and
the book banning and the statue banning. I mean, David is pornography.
Banning, and this just sort of broke my heart. It's an article in the Post today, and it starts with 21 teenagers who'd been working on their high school musical. The 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
Oh, yeah, that's really a horrifying piece.
This is in Ohio. And then, damn, if the school board got upset and informed the students that they couldn't do it because there was a song that talked about an erection. There was the appearance of Jesus Christ, and one character had two fathers. Can you imagine?
No, I mean, I'm just thinking
like
back.
High school students don't know about, think. High school students don't know about erections. Man, they're trying not to have them.
That's what the joke is.
Class.
That's what the joke is. Why do you think it's in there?
Okay, I've never seen that play. And
it's about a spelling bee.
Unbelievable.
No, it I mean, and I'm thinking back to my kids' own high school experience where in their high school there was actually quite a good theater department, and I remember my daughter, one of my daughter's years, her appearing in and the school doing the Laramie Project, which is about Matthew Shepard's death, murder, for being gay,
because he was gay. Yeah,
and I will say that it did cause somewhat of a stir, but not that way. I mean, the local paper, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, which was still an actual newspaper at the time, did a story on it. And what did happen is the show ran twice as long as it was supposed to, was sold out every night, and generated a lot of good conversation among people, including whether it should be produced in high school. And the fact that so many people from outside the high school showed up and learned and enjoyed and suggests the answer to the question. The opportunities lost when this happens is just amazing to me, both from the viewpoint of the students who, first of all, just from an educational point of view, theater captures a lot of kids that would otherwise not get an education. It keeps them there. It engages them. It helps them with reading. It gives them an outlet. And when the grown-ups come in and put their big feet all over it, it's just the wrong lesson. Don't get me started.
Okay, well, but I also want to say that a lot of LGBT kids gravitate to this musical theater.
Of course they do.
And yes, and then to have what they're doing declared, unacceptable. It's just again giving them the message that there's something unacceptable about them. This article did mention the Laramie Project and how it's been canceled a number of times in places. But you look at an Iowa school district, August Osage County.
And believe me, I don't think in Missouri it would fly now either. I mean, they've outlawed trans kids in Missouri. Now they're trying to outlaw trans adults.
Yes, they are. Not allowing any treatment for an adult. Now, wait. So, God knows women know that Republicans are quite willing to get in between them and their doctors. And in Missouri now and in some other states, they're doing that to trans adults as well, male and female. Where do they get off thinking that, first of all, they got medical degrees? Well, how dare? I thought, you speak of freedom. I mean, what is the most basic freedom imaginable? Talking about children is different, but I'm talking about is once you're an adult,
you should be able to be who you are.
Whatever, exactly. And if it turns out you're making a mistake, well, then you're making a mistake. But it's your mistake.
And that's why I say you don't criticize Jonathan Van Ness for wearing a dress. You criticize the dress for not looking good on him.
Oh God. Oh, it was an ugly dress. And
my God. Dress. It wasn't a good look.
Oh, it was so ugly. And then the jewelry he had on looked like schlock. It was for a guy who's supposed to be.
He's a marvelous hairdresser. He really is.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know anything about him. I just thought he looked like an idiot. The Addams Family musical was like nixed in some places. Do you believe that?
Why?
Well, let me see. What was the reason there? I think here it is. In Pennsylvania's Northern Lebanon School District this March, the school board voted down the Addams Family 7-2. Guess what the reason is?
I don't know.
Here's a board member. The theme is darkness, grief, and unspeakable sorrow.
That's what I was going to say. They're all dressed in black.
And he said the musical had songs about killing, scenes of children smoking, and references to torture and self-harm.
Why a school board is voting on what the school musical should be is beyond me, because that's not what the school board
they should be
does.
Bothering with.
The school board creates a policy, and then the department, either the drama department, if your school has one, or the English department, or the music department, or whoever is in charge, works within the policy. And this is just such malfeasance on every level. It's amazing to me.
It is. I feel for these kids.
I really feel for kids. I don't know if we let them get in their schools, then we're still tampering with them and ruining the experience. And excuse me, I'm making myself choke.
I understand, Susan. Okay. So let's move on to a slightly less I don't know if it's less incendiary subject. So right now, I guess the Senate Judiciary Committee is holding a hearing, right, about the inability of the Supreme Court to
did you see how Alito is so upset that the Supreme Court no one's defending the court?
Under attack!
And no one's defending us. And then the follow-up question to that is, so what do you think about Thomas's all those expensive trips? And he goes, I'm not speaking about that.
Yeah, right. Well,
and he won't say who, but he's sure a lib got rid of that,
he's not saying who did it, but that's not what this is about. This is about, the obvious lack of any ethical framework that these guys are operating under, any enforcement mechanism at all. And the fact that
they
no
take
one
umbrage at the very raising of the question.
Like, who the hell do they think they are? Does it make any sense that something called the Supreme Court should have the lowest level of no bar on the lowest bar on ethics?
Yeah, well, he's squawking the loudest because he's the most responsible for the court just falling off the deep end. I mean, the stuff that's coming out of his desk and out of his mouth is reprehensible.
Yeah, but the one who's really is...
Well, Thomas has been reprehensible forever. From the get-go, as has Kavanaugh, frankly.
Well, at this hearing today, there's going to be the very conservative former federal judge, Michael Luttig, who is the one who came down on Trump at the January 6th committee, if you'll recall.
Right.
He was the go-to judge for the right-wingers. And he came down on him, and damn if he's not now appearing today before the Judiciary Committee. And he is telling them, hey, I got news for you guys. You, Congress, has the power to impose a code of conduct on the Supreme Court. And this is the guy who's supposed to know this stuff
backwards and forwards.
Yeah. And the court thinks that they are, but if you look at the Constitution, I think, what's his name? I don't know how to pronounce his name. He wrote about this today, about how if you look at, the Constitution,
keeping the thing separate but equal doesn't mean you can't impose ethics. Right. That's totally different.
So he said, so Article 1 of the Constitution established the legislature. The founding fathers thought that was the most important branch, because it was the branch most representative, still gerrymandering, of the people. Article 2 established the executive. Article 3, the federal judiciary. And it says here, here's the reality. Congress is given the constitutional responsibility to make law. Congress is given the responsibility to spend money. Congress approves the executive's cabinet, does he not? Does it not?
Yeah.
Congress approves every justice that sits on the court. So Congress, if you start looking at how the Constitution is set up, clearly has a lot of power over these other two.
Because it is the most representative of the people, theoretically.
And Jamel Bowie, not sure I pronounced the name, the upshot of all that is that when Congress requests, as it did, Chief Justice Roberts to show up today, when the Congress calls, the other branches are supposed to answer, not as a courtesy, but as an affirmation of the rules of the American constitutional order. Well,
good. I'm glad he said that. So now Justice Roberts has been slapped.
Yeah, and then this guy goes on to say there are steps. I'm sure this is probably being talked about as I speak. There are steps Congress could take to essentially impose some discipline on this crazy court. Congress could shrink its budget. It could reduce the scope of its docket. It could impose ethics rules on it. Problem is, those require a majority in the House and a supermajority in the Senate because of the filibuster. But it has that power. Good. So there be that. I think that's it. I don't have. So the transgender lawmaker in Montana is suing. First, she has
good for her.
First Amendment case.
I didn't. I forgot that Gianforte, or however you pronounce his name, was governor. The guy that body slammed the reporter and goes on to become governor of the state. And
he's the guy who did body.
Yeah, and it's his son.
Who's trans or gay?
He's just
got a queer son. He's
a queer son. Yes, uses the pronouns he they, and he wrote his father a long letter and made it public, begging him to veto this legislation. I think his father wrote him back, I thought, rather formally, saying we should get together and discuss your thoughts about this. Like, hey, it's your son. I would think you would know his thoughts about this.
Well, they did get together, and the father, whatever. She's suing on First Amendment grounds that her right to speak was taken away. And
right.
the fact that she represents 11,000 Montanans, her constituents, who are also then muzzled, and their rights have been taken away. And in fact, in the lawsuit that she's has some of her constituents also named as plaintiffs. Seems to me this is a slam dunk.
Yep.
Because the Republicans, when in power, are lawless.
They're lawless. They pay absolutely. The only freedom they want is the freedom to do whatever they want to anybody else, including mow you down with their AK-15.
That's right. You betcha. Oh my God, we're out of time.
Yeah. I just thought.
You sound so happy about it.
Well, no, I just looked up Little Nas X.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he just looks amazing.
Yeah. Get a tight shot of that mask. It is beyond belief.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are back at the Met. It is fun to look at what some of these people were wearing. It really is. It is. It was the commentary I couldn't take. I couldn't do it.
Oh, no. I mean, and no, you have to accept that it's a disgusting flaunting of waste of extraordinary funds. You have to get rid of all of that shit, and you just have to, look at the costumes.
Yeah, that's for us in the cheap seats. Just look. You can't touch, you can't have.
Oh, and remember, tomorrow we're all invited to swear allegiance to His Majesty the King.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Fuck him. That's all I want to say. That's all I'm saying. Yep.
And on that note.
Yeah, on that note.
We've proved Clarence's point that we don't
we don't have no problem swearing. Even if our dad did. No, our parents don't swear.
No, I've gotten Mom to swear a little bit. She swears.
Yeah, Mom now will say, she once told a joke recently, relatively, that I think had fuck in it or something. Because once you get to be 90-something, which is when she told me the joke, who gives a damn?
Yeah, she can say whatever you want, and I'm aware of that regularly.
All righty, Sue.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Have good days. Bye.
You guys too. Okay. And I'll be back tomorrow. Okay. You have a good one. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.